At long last, I am able to say a few words of my own.
Anyway, man, all right, we back. So man, we that'll be on the bonus. That'll be a bonus stuff. You gotta pay for that. But we back, shareholders, man. We just talking shop, man. That's what we're doing out here, man. But we've been talking about the sports scene with the COVID-19 virus and all that's been going on, and of course, man, salute really quickly to a lot of these athletes who have been speaking out. Just with, of course, George Floyd and the injustices, and it's been good to just see that. And I'm going to say this: I'm not a person that requires that of an athlete, because if you do, I'm glad for it. I don't necessarily require that. I think too many times we kind of look to celebrities. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I wonder what so-and-so ain't said nothing about this. Say something about it, but at the end of the day, it's really the people who aren't the celebrities I want to hear from. I'm talking about the lawmakers. Mm-hmm. Yes. When we really complain about these things, that's great. Carmelo said something, but that's really not helping make a real change. You know what I mean? So I never really, people will say, I want to hear something, like they was kind of getting on Jordan, but then Jordan spoke out about it. But then I said, okay, now what? You know what I mean? We got to talk to the folk. What's your senator's name? What's your state representative's name? Fine. What's the state? What's your judge's name? Right. Because I'm the ones that's really. But we put too much sometime. I feel, and not that again. I'm glad when they do. Yeah. Especially for a young generation. I know kids looking up to them. Yeah. But I guess you get older and you just be like, okay, that's cool. But I want to talk to somebody that's really gonna do something.
Can I say this?
Go ahead.
I totally agree. And I also agree that the same people that's saying, you should speak out because of your platform. I just want to make sure that person that's pointing the finger to that celebrity or to that professional athlete is saying that. I want to make sure you show up at the voting polls.
Right. See?
Because we all have seen, our hearts, I know as all, black men, we've probably had various emotions many times. Some nights I've not been able to sleep. Some nights I've been frustrated. Some nights I said, well, let me just pray, let me go to my scriptures and see, what God is saying. But at the end of the day, all that is necessary. But if you don't vote,
that's right.
And if you don't make your voice heard,
that's right.
Then that's where the system is going to stay in place.
So. That's right. I was just joking with a guy on Facebook. I said, okay, I see you making all these little, you doing everything on Facebook. Did you merch yet? I was just joking with him. I said, I'm trying to say is, if you do all this stuff and nobody go out there and vote,
it's true.
If they out there on the streets, just for example, for the protests, they doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. People pretty much putting their lives on the line because you know what the police gonna do out there. Mm-hmm. Right. You know what they doing, and you don't even vote.
Yeah. Right.
Then you just gonna allow, quote unquote, Donald Trump.
Right.
To have his rallies, have his main. He got his main. I mean, people, see, he don't need them. It's not just the people, it's the money that he raising.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
I mean, because a lot of business people think small businesses builds America. Mm-hmm. Not, I know, it's a disadvantage for, being black that we weren't taught that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We weren't taught open your own up.
Yeah.
We were taught, you go to college, you work for somebody else, and you have to make a certain amount of money to be successful.
Right.
See, and it's that's not how America works. America works off small businesses. Those small businesses are able to make certain tax cuts. Right. They're able to do things, loopholes that I'm learning. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how many loopholes. Mm-hmm. I mean, the tax guy told me, said, Jenny, why are you doing this? Right. You never been part of this before. No, I haven't. Go to this class. I'm serious. He said, because you're not thinking like us. He told me that in my face.
Hey, that's real.
That's true.
It's real. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a lot of us that just think a job is a job. Mm-hmm. But the American dream is you have your small businesses. Mm-hmm. That's how they survive. That's how America, and that's the American dream. And I think we lose track. All everybody. They have so much zeal, but we lose track of what's having power in this world.
No, so to keep it sports related, because you're right on the money. in basketball, right? You got 5 players on the court at once.
Yeah.
Who's the 6th man? Momentum. Mo, right? Who's the 12th man on a football? Momentum.
That's true.
So we need to do while we have the momentum on our side.
That's true.
Take advantage.
We take that momentum straight to the voting polls.
That's true.
So my thing is, and just like you said, y'all got to get out and vote. You got to take a friend to vote. You got to take your mama, your grandma, your cousin, because that's where. We vote a couple different ways. We vote with our dollars, right?
Yep.
So you want to boycott something? You really want to shut something down? Okay, we don't like what Tommy Hilfiger said about the. Okay, you know what? Let's go on the campaign. We can shut them down.
Stop buying it.
If we stop buying it, right?
That's right.
Yep.
You vote with your dollar. Then you also vote, like you said, you cast your vote, which is one of your rights by going to that voting booth and vote. My problem is we as African Americans, we don't think a lot of times our vote counts,
Right.
And that is a trick of the enemy.
We've been trained to think that.
That our vote don't count, and that's what happened. We got hit hard in 16. Well, our vote's not gonna count, or we ain't gonna vote, and we see what that got us, right? Yeah. We see what that got us. But so your senator, like you said, your state rep, right? Yeah. Especially your mayor, because your mayor is going to pick the chief of police, put in policy.
Talk about it.
That's right.
The things that need to be put in place in the whole these, like I said, all police officers are not bad.
That's correct. That's right.
We got some bad apples that need to be weeded out.
That's right.
And that starts with the police chief and holding accountability. Y'all don't want to get into this defunding the police, but I think we ought to just reallocate some of those funds a certain way so that look to me, the protest in a nutshell is that when these officers on their body cam get caught doing something wrong, we just want some prosecution.
That's it.
We just want them to be held accountable. How come
accountable.
there 3 prosecutions in the last 10 years, 12 years of all caught on tape?
What it really is for me is the fact that at the end of the day, whatever you put on them, whatever stars or stripes, whatever, that's a man killing another man.
That's it.
Okay? And if we got evidence of this man killing this other man, we see it. I don't care what the police union says. I don't care what the blue coat is. He's got to be prosecuted. Most of these times, these things don't be going to trial.
Right.
And I'm just like, at least let him sit before a jury of his peers. That's what I think a lot of the frustration is. And it's crazy because we go another way, but this is what we do out here. I watched yesterday. Is an amazing documentary on the '92 riots. The
cops got
people believe it, but the thing about it was boiling because it wasn't just Rodney King. There was Latasha Hollins as well, who was shot on tape by a Korean store owner. On tape. Yeah. The girl had money to pay for the drink, whatever she's buying. She shoots her.
That's true.
She is convicted. But then a Caucasian judge gives her probation for killing a girl. And you could see it just festering and the people were just fed up. And that's where, I don't want to misquote him, but I believe Martin Luther King said rioting is the voice of the voiceless. Something like
Voice
that.
of the unheard.
Voice of the unheard. Yep. And that's what we've seen here where people are just fed up. And part of it is the fact that, I heard somebody make a good point. Everybody at home, we ain't got nothing else to do anyway. So we hitting the streets.
So we watching.
We all chilling. We see what's happening.
We watching.
This ain't the time for that.
That's true.
Ain't nobody got hardly going to work, so that's a part of it. But, you had something as well, most, when you talked, you said the mindset. You were like, man, I didn't even know. I wasn't thinking like they was thinking. And that's, if I can tie it back in, I talked with a guy and he said, you know what? They did Kaepernick wrong, and he said, now we seeing what Cap was talking about. And, I said, yeah. And so I talked with a guy, he said, you know what? Because Mahomes, you got Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl champ.
Yep, MVP.
Fortunately, at my 49ers expense, but he is. League MVP right now is Jackson from Baltimore. Yeah. Okay. 4 of the top 5 rated QBR passers are those two, Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott. That's four black quarterbacks. You know what I mean? So the guy was like, he's like, what they really need to do, they need to just hang them jerseys up, and and represent Cap. And I said, that's not gonna work. I said, let me tell you why that's not gonna work. I said, because here's what I was like. You might be young, who I'm talking. I don't know the guy. I said they tried it in 1987. And them players all went on. He said, well, that's 70%. He's like, the league is 70% black. If 70% of the league, I said, listen, 100% of the league tried to strike. And you know what happened? Them owners, they got replacement players.
Yep.
And them replacement players, the ratings didn't go down. You know why? I don't know what the cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like. I just see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey.
Right.
I don't know what the offensive lineman for the New York Jets look. Now I know what LeBron looked like.
Yeah.
I know what Kuzma looked like.
Yeah.
I know what Patrick Beverly looked like.
Yeah.
I say this is different. If they hang it up, these business owners, these dudes there didn't thought they say hang it. Why you think these contracts ain't guaranteed to football?
Correct.
Because the union can't break the owners.
Correct.
Because people want to see football. They want to see, they root for the team.
This is for the team.
You know what I mean? I want to
With
see the
favorite
Cowboy
players.
star.
Yeah.
I want to see the Steelers uniform. And I said, bro, that's not. I was like, their best voice is that they stay in the league and just talk and do what they're doing now. Because I promise you right now, everybody gonna kneel now. Now I want to answer this real quick. We do got a Dallas Cowboy fan in the midst. I don't know where my genes went wrong. This is my own blood. But my own brother's a Cowboys fan. I'm a 49ers fan. We ain't heard from your man. Now, Jerry Jones gives a press conference every game.
From his yacht.
From his, he always got all the guys be around. And Jerry, what you think? Well, I feel like Dak's playing all right, and I feel if Jason Garrett still all this. Now, what do you feel about your man not saying nothing right now?
Okay. First of all, I had my Cowboys hat, but in respect to the house I was in, I didn't wear it.
Come on, don't do that. Don't do that.
See, it's you see with sports, right? And this is just me. Like, I gravitated towards the Cowboys not because of their ownership or their management, because of the talent, right? And I in some respects, I see a separation of sometimes the product versus the owner, right? Like, for instance, like with shoes and stuff, Kanye West been wilding out for a long time. So there was a big controversy of, we not wearing the shoe, this, that, and the third. But then I was like, well, this isn't Kanye's shoe though. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Mostly. So from that standpoint, from that standpoint though, like, the way I see it is, now Jerry Jones is a very vocal owner. Everybody knows that. But for most teams in most sports, the owner, being honest, could care less about the success or whatnot of his team. That's really the general manager. Like, James Dolan refuses to sell the Knicks despite how terrible he is. But so the owner a lot of times is not. But at the same time, being that he is such a vocal owner, being that he voices his opinion on any and everything that he feels, when you put yourself in that light, then okay, when majority of your employees are African Americans, those are the ones that in this respect are making you the money, then you do need to speak out or say some, or at least have some type of statement. And going back to the Michael Jordan thing, I think that's where that comes from, because on one hand, there was not a lot of guys speaking out about different things, like aside from, like guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, those were your few, but it wasn't, but because of the social state that we're in right now, the political state that we're in right now, for guys who are vocal, I don't look for every single, owner to say something, but for a guy that is this vocal, like, you would think to have that many African Americans working for you, that you would have something to say on this.
Okay, so let me add on to that. Let's make something real clear. Roger Goodell is a commissioner of the National Football League, but Roger Goodell is not the most powerful person. He
works for the owners.
He works for the owner. And the most powerful owner is Jerry Jones. Bar none, hands down, right? Well, my boy Al Davis used to be. But Jerry Jones, I mean, just from listen, America's team, right? That star on that helmet, one of the biggest states in the nation, right? True. Biggest stadium. They earn more revenue. They're like the Yankees, right? The reason why the Yankees can don't mind going over the salary cap. And they don't mind having to pay everybody, because guess what? They go to the salary cap because they can afford it with the TV. Same way with Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are going to get three Monday night games. They're going to get the 2 Thursday night games. They're going to get the game of the week on Sunday night
Sundays they
twice.
Yeah.
Right? And they ain't won a playoff game since when?
Ain't done. Yeah.
But because they have this owner, right, that is the owner usually not the face of the franchise, right? Jerry Jones has that power, and I think it's irresponsible and reckless that he does not make some type of statement.
But see, he painted himself in a corner, because if you remember when Cap was taking the knee, he said, "You're not playing for the Cowboys if you take a knee." He said that.
He did.
Now, don't get it twisted. They all took that proverbial knee before the anthem, because you'll see, like Drew Brees said what he said, but then there were some pictures out of him kneeling, but that was before the anthem when they did this whole thing. But now, cats now, the word is out like, nah, bro, we kneeling, everybody's kneeling. And so now he's kind of painting himself in the corner. But so to speak, and let me ask you a question, because I don't even know. Football's supposed to start in September, October, something like that. Right. I don't really know. We're talking about the NBA. That's 13 guys on the team with your coaches, trainers, all that. Football, that's 50-some guys.
Yeah. But not only that,
roster.
It's more than that, because of after the draft and they bring in free agents.
Yeah.
So they
you got practice guys.
So they got guys that's trying to make the team. You got guys that's trying to make the practice squad. And then some of the conversations that's been taking place on social media and radio is that they have to redo those locker rooms just for training camp, because you're bringing in more than 53 guys.
Yeah, you bring in for cuts. You got to bring in a bunch of guys.
So you're talking a huge undertaking.
I don't know
the days of Corona.
I don't know if we're gonna see football. I honestly don't know. Go ahead. If you
no. I listen. So we've been hitting on Major League Baseball because around the middle of March, right? That's like 2 weeks before opening day in baseball, and that's right at the tail end of NBA going into the playoffs. They were dramatically affected, right? Football season ended, what was it? Football was in February, January. Right? So they've been indirectly affected, right? We still have 3 to 4 months before that first game being kicked off. I think we got a shot.
Oh, it's a shot.
I think the NFL has a good shot in terms of putting a better than average product on the field, because just the fact that we have time, and the fact that most cities, most states should be in phase 3 by then. So I think we got a shot.
But my question to you, that's from, I think you take in the slant of from the business side and the sports side.
Right.
But then the big question still, or the elephant is in the room, is where are we with, and Dr. Fauci's famous words,
that's what I'm saying,
where are we with the curve or with the spike? Yeah. Because now, even with some soft openings, I was watching, I believe, NBC last night, and they were saying that several states, around 21 states, have already seen a surge in COVID-19 cases.
Right.
So, the same question with NBA right now is going to be the next question for NFL players. How comfortable do you feel, and what is testing going to be like, and where are we at?
Well, and there's, because, God forbid, but there's talk of this second wave.
That's true.
That'll come in the fall.
In the fall, that's true.
In fall is football season, and that's where, and that's what I'm talking about. I feel like if we got a handle on it and a bubble type deal, maybe we're not fans, I feel, they could do football, I feel like, but I'm very worried. There was a kick up recently, like Arizona's just been hit hard. And there's a kick up in some places, and they said that's because of Memorial Day, where everybody went out wilding. Folks was like, forget it. And as much as we've been praising, the protests and things like that, there is a factor of that as well, because they feel like in about a week or two, you might see a spike as well. So,
and see, that's the whole thing with that too, because. And that's really something I've thought about a ton, is like the protesting is so effective. We've seen, like some small changes, like the Breonna Taylor law that was passed. But at the same time though, like unfortunately, like you're in very close corners, hundreds and thousands of people and stuff like that. It's so unfortunate that something that's putting forth a whole lot of good is putting people at risk.
That's true.
But just to clarify with the Jerry Jones, I did think about it. I thought about it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I want to hear anything from Jerry Jones because if
It might be good.
listen, Drew Brees, man, I've always respected Drew Brees, a very respected person.
right.
And he said something, and the whole world is unrest. Jerry Jones is the most loud talking person. I don't.
Yeah, Jerry might just,
He may just need
maybe chill out, man.
unless
Just let it ride.
somebody in the PR team, an African American in the PR team, has a written statement.
true.
I don't know if I want to hear something.
Des called him out a couple days ago. Des Bryant.
Des said,
Yeah,
I wouldn't take
He
that
said,
bait.
he said, where's Jerry and where's Jason Witten?
Jason,
Yeah, that's true.
But Jason
Called him
Witten
out.
did something here in Vegas.
Yeah, because he played for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, that's right. He's with the Raiders now. That's right. Yeah.
He actually, it's funny that he called him out that that night he was calling him out. He was working with the Las Vegas Police Department.
Oh, okay.
And the Buffalo Bikers. These
okay.
the motorcycle gang
Yeah.
here in town, and trying to come up with some strategies on on police reform. So
Yeah, that's the thing
get the pass.
that's why the calling out thing, and your boy Don Lemon. Man, Don calling people out there. I was like, Don, you calling focus out here, man. What you talking? I ain't really agree with all that, man. That's why I'm saying, man, I don't even.
That's true.
I'm not worried if you looking calling, this celebrity and this celebrity. I was like, okay.
Can I say this on that point? Because you mentioned that earlier. The thing that I'm looking at, just because I have a certain platform that's national or international, doesn't mean I may feel comfortable speaking on certain issues, because if the majority hear that and they don't agree because of the pushback you get. So some people, they just are good at what they do. They have that platform, but as far as being vocal, as far as being a person that wants to, be a catalyst for a movement, some people, that's just not who they are.
No, and true. I mean, and two, like, I don't think people look at it from this standpoint. Like, someone made a good point. They're like, depending on the industry that you're in, if you speak out in a certain way, a lot of people lose their job, like their source of income. Sure. I think a lot of times we look at people that make millions of dollars and be like, oh, you can go without that. But when you make millions of dollars, you accrue $1 million lifestyle.
True.
You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
So,
Like Patrick Ewing said, we make a lot and we spend a lot.
exactly.
But okay, we hitting a lot of things, but I want to talk real quick about something because you remind me of something. So I don't know any of us here are big NASCAR fans, but there's a black driver, and I ain't know the brother was black. I hear the name Bubba. I just figured he was a white guy.
Wallace.
Bubba Wallace.
The Wallace on there.
Yeah, it was Bubba Wallace. The Wallace boy. So Bubba Wallace is going to be driving a car. NASCAR, you do know they got the cars with all these sponsors all over the car. He's driving a Black Lives Matter car. Which is unbelievable. He's an African-American driver. He's the only full-time African-American driver on the NASCAR circuit.
Yeah.
And this young brother here, I said, I'm going to have to maybe watch a race or two because he called out the Confederate flag.
That's right.
And he said, we don't need this in here no more. He's like, it's not welcoming. And I didn't even realize, somebody told me, he said, do you know it is a sea of Confederate flags when you come to these places? And he was like, this is not welcoming anymore. And they did it.
Yeah, NASCAR took
First of all, I'm saying let's pray for Bubba Wallace protection. Number one.
Right.
Pray the Lord.
Making that left turn.
I said let's have the Avengers watching this brother. Call Iron Man down. But then I'm getting to this point. Now he's getting a lot of pub, and it's kind of like what you said. Now everybody's on this Black Lives Matter thing, and so. All the drivers wear helmets and they have custom helmets like hockey goalies and all that. Right. So one of the guy that makes his helmet said, I'm with you, Bubba, supporting you, all that. Bubba then tweeted later on, he said, no, you ain't with me. And he tweeted where this same guy was talking about, forget the Black Lives Matter, forget this. Yeah, he called him out, Beam. Yeah, and now all the drivers are like, forget this guy.
No. Set it up right. Beam.
See, I don't know the full story. Go ahead.
Beam. Bubba called him out and said, nah. I've read some of your past posts, and you ain't with the Black Lives Matter, so I'm dropping you. Beam shot back at him. It's all good because guess what? Jimmy Johnson is with me. The Bush brothers is down with me.
Whoa.
Right? And he started naming off all
he named
all these non-African American drivers. Right? Then Couple hours later, the Johnson boys, the Bush boys, all them dropped him.
Wow.
So,
But
like Joe said, so his whole business,
he just
collapsed because he said the wrong thing at the wrong time,
Yeah.
or he didn't kind of
That's a
like.
good point.
So, with Drew Brees, right? So Drew Brees, right? You know, he said, put it like this: he said the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? What he was saying, he was defending, you know, patriotism toward the flag and toward our soldiers and our country and everything. But dude, you arguing the wrong argument,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
We ain't talking about that.
yeah,
Correct.
we're not talking about that.
And white lives matter too.
Correct.
That's not the focus right
That's
now.
correct.
Came back around after he was educated and brought up to speed by some of his teammates. He came back, what I thought was a sincere apology, right? In two ways, right? He came back and then he shot a letter to 45 and said, look, man, you need to look and he put him on the spot.
Yeah.
See, that to me, that's putting your reputation, you know, and then he's starting all these different funds for these different organizations to support.
And I was gonna say, you know, because a lot of people still, they don't matter, it's too late. But I want to say to my African American people, if the Drew Brees apology ain't good enough for us, then what do we want? Because that's as good as you're gonna get.
Right.
I mean, he didn't full out, you know, and he's a teachable moment for himself. He didn't learn. He realized, you know, because I think it rubbed me the wrong way when he mentioned his grandparents.
Yeah.
He's like, my grandfather's fault. I was like, well, bro, black folk grandparents fought.
Correct.
And we didn't get a hero's welcome when we came back. We got ran out of time. We got, you know, it's kind of like what Muhammad Ali said. He's like, you know, y'all got me over here wanting to fight the Viet Cong, but y'all the ones calling me the N-word. Y'all the ones.
That's right.
I'm getting oppressed here. So
That's true.
but he was very contrite. Like you said, he wrote a letter, and I still see some people giving him grief. But what are we doing then? You know, don't we want people to realize the error of their ways and to be contrite? You know, I don't want to just dismiss him if you come correct and you do apologize. Okay, well then I don't want to just rate people. Because the thing is, we need people like Drew Brees to speak up.
That's true.
Because they might not listen to us.
Right.
That's true.
But they'll listen to Drew.
That's true.
Right.
So I mean, I you know, I was upset with what he said, but he seemed contrite enough. And the thing is, I ain't never had no beef with Drew Brees. Seemed like a good guy.
Yeah.
Helped rebuild New Orleans. So
It was a teachable moment.
it's a teachable moment.
It was a teachable moment just because of the climate of where our country is. And the good thing about, if I can say it this way, the positive side of it is, number one, he realized his error.
Yep.
And he was man enough to say, you know what? I didn't see it the way I should have seen it.
Right.
I was coming only from my lens and my perspective, not thinking about all the other African-American men who also fought for this country.
Right.
But then also the disparities that's happening with African-Americans. Now I get it full circle. And part of that is also that I think we should mention is the protests that are taking place. It's not just African-Americans.
Oh no.
Right.
This generation and where we are as a society sees that injustice is injustice.
Right.
And that's the positive thing that I think we should take from you know, the George Floyd and from the Breonna Taylor, is that change now has come to. Change now is full circle. It's front stage center, and now you have to, hate to say it, but you got to choose a side.
Yeah.
And that's just the way we are. You got to choose a side. This ain't no time to be silent. This ain't no time to be no church mouse. You know, I'm just in the corner. I just want everybody to get along. No, everybody ain't getting along.
Right.
Because getting along in the past hasn't gotten specifically African Americans anything. You know, as far as equality and social justice. So, you know, just with that, I think that it's the timing was wrong, but the message and what comes from it is right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this has been an outstanding show. We didn't talk about a lot of things, man. It's two things I still want to hit. First thing I want to hit is the college sports scene, which is, we talking about the pro ranks and these are guaranteed contracts and things, but we're talking about amateur players. You want to talk about a college football team? NFL team is 50. It's 100 guys on the college football team. Right. We already saw them, which you said, which really shocked me. They scrapped the NCAA tournament. That was amazing. I was shocked by that. But for most of these universities, football drives the athletic program. The reason why there's tennis at the University of Oklahoma, or if there's a great golf team at the University of Georgia, or if Michigan's got a great field hockey team, they're not revenue generating sports because you're not going to see them on ESPN, but the football brings in so much money. They can fund and give scholarships to these kids. If they don't have the football season, that is a lot of money. And the trickle down is going to be unbelievable.
So that's huge, because in the Power 5 conferences is 165 quote unquote team, and what you got is, but you got the top 25, right? You got from the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Michigans, the Ohio States, all the way to your Boise's at the back end of that, the top 25, right? Really gonna take a hit, right? Are the field hockey teams, right? Right, and you've already seen that Bowling Green and some other schools have scrapped the baseball.
I think Cincinnati scrapped soccer, I think.
And soccer, right? And these are scholarship athletes. So these are kids that grow up, playing, youth league sports and in high school and have earned scholarships, right? So program is getting washed out because of non-existent football season. Man, that's pretty heavy, man. And not to mention, we say it again, if they do have it and they have it at half capacity, some are talking about, 100,000 seat stadium, only having 35,000 people. Man, that's still, that's a hit.
That's a huge hit.
And a lot of them on these big TV contracts. Oregon, right, which is a top 25 team, was supposed to play The Ohio State University, right, in like September 21st, right? Oregon's governor is like, nah. He said, no, we take that off the books. So what's probably going to happen is, some of these Big Ten schools or SEC schools are going to have to do all in-conference games. And that's really going to put a hit on your Western Carolinas, right? Because when they play Alabama, they know they ain't got a chance to play. They want that check. They getting that $1 million check. Exactly. So that money goes into the athletic department, which funds a whole lot of. So, man, the college game, without a college season, is going to take a hit. And then just yesterday, University of Houston, they had a voluntary workouts. 6 players tested positive.
Wow.
Right. So they had to shut that down.
I didn't know that.
I just read that yesterday. Wow. So
see, that's what you,
because you're getting tested now, like you said, you got your
and I mean, and to that though, like that's what I've been mostly worried. Like obviously the pros and stuff are trying to figure out when they're going to come back, but I'm more so worried about the college sports, because a 16 or 15-year vet from the NBA can say, I'm not comfortable playing, I'm not going to play. You know what I'm saying? Different guys in the NBA, they have voices, right? If enough guys got together and said in NBA, NFL, say, you know what, we're not playing, they probably listen. College sports, you know what I'm saying, you don't have that vote. Your goal is to get somewhere. And like I said before, these colleges are first priority is money. So they're gonna make money somehow, and I'm worried that might come, at the risk of the health of these athletes, because these football programs and are making so much money. They're gonna find a way to get it done. I just hope it doesn't come to these kids, at the risk of their health.
The funny thing is, they're talking like, okay, we can bring the football teams back. They said, well, y'all gonna bring the students back too to campus? Like, if how safe is it then if y'all, which is, which like you say, it's really about the money.
Yeah, it's about the money. And the thing is, with the whole college sports paradigm, is just mind-boggling because of how much money the NCAA makes from these colleges and universities, specifically Division I schools. And so for a 17-year-old or 18-year-old young man or young lady that's, playing on a scholarship or a walk-on, this is their opportunity in preparation for their careers after college, whether you get the degree or not the degree. But if you are, at that level where you could be a top athlete going into a draft to one of the major professional sports teams, this is going to be major. And again, what about their health?
And
see, and that's the question of how do we allow our student athletes to still be student athletes and get the benefit of playing on this platform, but yet their health is not at risk. And as far as the money, I mean, you making money just on the seating and the ticket sales. Then you're making money because of the parking, like you talked about, in the professional sports. But college, your stadium seats 80,000 people.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I learned, and just doing research on college athletics. When those players, when the coach actually comes to the house to sign that kid, they're not saying, we got to raise this money. The money is already in the account. We just got to know which student to assign this money to.
Yeah.
So when they get their classes, they have meal table, but the money is not the issue. It's really not from recruitment. But now, how does that affect us? Not just for this season. The biggest question is, how does it affect us 2021, 2022, and then bowl games? We haven't talked about bowl games, which is major money.
Yeah.
No. So we ain't talked about boosters. So me as a booster, am I still writing that endowment?
Hey.
And there's no sports?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
If I'm NBC and I pay, what's Notre Dame gonna do?
Yeah.
Because they ain't even in the
Billions of
conference.
dollars.
Notre Dame might be like, well, we can get about 6 games. I ain't paid for 6 games. I paid for a full season. You know what I mean? And it's
prorated.
I mean, and then real quick, most you ran out Coach D'Antonio. How you feel about it now? What we gonna do now?
It's gonna be interesting to see the balance, guys, because they're gonna lose money. They're gonna lose money, but you gotta understand they already got a lot of money surplus already too. So it's gonna depend on if they put, we don't want no lawsuits, we don't want nobody dying, versus let's make a fraction of the money that we would have made if it was a healthy season. So it's gonna be interesting to see what those boards in those different states decide to do. Is it gonna? Because it's a risk. Is if one of them college kids die, oh my God, it's gonna be like, we told you, it's your fault. Any athlete. So that's a big burden.
That's true.
That's gonna be a big decision.
Yeah. And that makes sense why so many leagues just completely shut down. Because you can't be the one league that
That's true. That's true.
I don't care if it's a left-hand relief pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. If he died from COVID and y'all had him out there, that's a bad look. But you made a good point. See, in the movie industry, what's happening right now is there's so many movies that were supposed to come out, but ain't nobody in theaters. So now the theaters are like, do we just put it on streaming and just get a little bit of the profit?
Well, Spike Lee's movie came out.
Spike just put his out.
It wouldn't have been on. It wouldn't have premiered on Netflix.
Well, everybody's, the producers, the movie distributors, we need some kind.
That makes sense.
The guy that did the Batman movies and he did Inception. He's got a new movie out right now with Denzel Washington's son called Tenet. He is adamant. He's like, I don't want this on streaming. This is a movie built for the movie theaters. He's holding it. But bro, you didn't just fit. You didn't come up with the $150 million yourself. There's movie studios behind this, producers who at some point gonna want some kind of money in their pocket, and that's the same thing. These boosters, we talk about these college presidents and all that. They're saying, can we get any kind of money back because it's revenue to salvage this?
Hold on a second. So he don't want to stream it?
No.
Did the brother not see the success of the Tiger King?
He was the guy. No, listen. He's the guy that did. He's kind of an anti-streaming guy. He did Dunkirk, that big epic movie. He didn't really want people. He kept saying it's not made for your iPad. It's not made for. It's made for the theater. He's an old school guy. So I don't know. That's a big fight.
But that's the thing. I'm curious because the being at the movie theater, some of that does have its appeal, but with people being at home realizing, wait a minute, so I don't have to pay $20 for popcorn and snacks. I can watch it in comfort. I'm curious to see how the whole industry changes.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. And I ain't got the brother.
That's true.
a row behind me hacking and coughing. I didn't like that before COVID. I'm like, hey man, if you sick, bro, don't be with you in a theater for.
Or you got to get up 3-4 times. Like, hold on, man. The movie started 12 minutes ago, and this your third time
And
going to
look how
get.
much money they made on demand, like for sports.
Yeah,
Right, sure.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
mean, you can still have people watch
they
stuff at
flipped the
home.
script.
but that's why they really like the NBA wants to get on TV because the ratings gonna be out the roof.
What I would say to that producer of that movie, I would say, remember Blockbuster.
You don't change with time.
Remember what happened with Blockbuster. Now, through the protests and through the COVID, there is one Blockbuster that was still open. I think it was in Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken.
holding on.
It was one that was still open in the whole country, and they were saying they're thinking that they may have to close just because this was the only one still open.
Was that JCPenney, Sears that did not make that
Oh,
transition?
the retail industry's been.
Man, I saw on
Murder.
the news like Chuck E. Cheese is $1 billion in debt.
Wow.
They're
Wow.
like, and so they're about to shut them all down.
Shutting down the mouth. So,
Shut down.
all right, listen. My last question, I've been teasing it the whole time. We're going to go around the room. So, these leagues want to get back playing. Hockey wants to finish. You know, the NBA wants to finish. Baseball's talking about a 80 to 90 game season. Football is going to try to do what they can, but fans and all that. What will the championship? I'll say this: what will the championship mean for you? These COVID championships, if you will, it have the same redness? I'm gonna start with you, Mos.
I think it's going to be harder. I think it'll be even harder to win a championship during this time because you don't have all the games to practice. The games that lead up to it. You don't have your own. You're not in a groove. I think everybody's on a level playing field. I mean, you got LeBron. You get the talent. You got Kawhi and all this. That's a good point. But you don't have that practice. You might have your friend practice with you, but I ain't LeBron James. That ain't like a professional guarding you from practice.
That's true.
So I think it kind of levels the playing field. Yeah. And if you can win a championship during this time, I think it's even more difficult.
That's a good point.
That's my opinion.
It's good.
See, I'm in the same boat because when you think of professional sports, like it's like, of course you got your Tom Brady's, your LeBron James, like these great athletes, but at the same time, these are all professional athletes. So when you have an entire, like, it's not just like a few teams had to rest. You got everybody starting on equal playing ground. Chemistry is probably, it's going to be down. Conditioning is going to be down. So I'm with most. You have so many people on now an even playing field. Now you're going to see, okay, who's really going to step? Because that's another thing too. That's what's great too about the NCAA. You get a bad night, you get a bad stretch, it's over. So depending on how they do this, I mean, you could have and that's why if I'm like maybe a mid-tier team, you know what I'm saying, football's younger, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. A couple months ago we didn't have a shot. Listen, now you get maybe if Milwaukee wasn't on the game or something like that, or a different team, hey, we got a shot. But I'll say this, all right, being of course I'm pulling for the Lakers or whatnot, but I'm sure there's still going to be an asterisk regardless because it's going to be, it wasn't a full season. So I'm pretty sure depending on who wins, there might be an asterisk. But for me personally, I don't see it like that.
Yeah.
Well, so listen, what we got going on here is a situation that in some ways does level the playing field from the perspective of there's no home court advantage. Yeah. We don't got to go into the Staples Center, right? We don't have to worry about that fan base, right? But it could work in a totally different way as well. What's it gonna be like playing without fans?
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, is it gonna be like a pickup game?
I heard they might infuse like sound or something.
Try to make it live.
It still won't make it the same.
So the challenge is gonna be, because I'm a believer that some athletes, LeBron and these top tier athletes, right, who came out and said in the beginning, I'm not playing without fans, because they feed off that. They feed off the crowd. They feed off that raw emotion, that intensity. I mean, is that 360 tomahawk dunk gonna have the same without that crowd cheering? Right? It's not. Is that brother that's shooting 68% from the free throw line? Is he gonna be more apt? Without that pressure, and they, so it's a whole lot of ways to look at it in terms of it could be easier in some regards. It could be more difficult. But to answer the question of, listen, if I'm 15 and 50, like the Golden State Warriors is, and we can win a couple games, we can get Clay back, and we can get Steph back.
That'd be crazy.
Listen, that would be nuts. It would have to have an asterisk on it because these brothers shouldn't be in it. But since they one of the 13 teams that got invited from the West, you know what? I ain't mad at it. Are they gonna get a smaller ring, or are they gonna get the 8 ring, the 8 diamonds on the side? I mean, no, but seriously, so it is gonna be an asterisk on it. But like that ring that the Spurs got coming out of that lockout year, man, you know, it still counts.
But true, the Heat, they won a championship during a lockout season as well, which a lot of people don't talk about.
People don't talk about that.
Yeah, I just feel like whatever way the narrative goes, that's how the asterisk is going to be.
It's true.
I think for me, my perspective is everybody's definitely on the even playing field because no one has really been able to practice together. I heard a former NBA player say, you may still be able to work out, but you won't be in game shape.
Yeah.
Which is where was smart for Adam Silver and the players union to really talk about that.
Yeah,
we need some games to get our rhythm back. So from that perspective, I think everybody's pretty even. Of course, some guys have been working out. Some guys have gone places. They've gone to the hills. They've run. I know they said the Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, sent his guys workout equipment just to help them to stay in shape.
Y'all seen you seen your boy from Houston? You see how
James
skinny
Harden.
he is now?
Yeah,
James
James Harden. Yeah,
Oh,
he lost a lot of weight.
he lost
I
a
did
lot.
see-
You
I
see
He
that?
lost a lot of weight.
Some of them.
So that's not good, right?
You know who else? You seen Jokic from the
Jokic,
Nuggets?
I saw him yesterday.
Jokic then lost
lost
like 30
80
pounds.
Yeah, so see,
But Luka from the Mavericks, his trainer,
his
people said
trainer
he
like-
out of shape.
Luka out there eating pizza, smoking cigarettes. He ain't.
so he
He ain't never been really in shape.
He ain't ready.
He got a chance. But
It's gonna be interesting.
the James Harden situation is interesting because we didn't talk about this in terms of COVID, but James Harden's got a pre-existing medical condition. He's got asthma. Right.
That's right.
It's true.
So how is this? You think with this increased, highly medical, sterilized environment would help that. But if he get exposed to it,
that's true.
I mean,
That's
he's willing to.
that's serious. That's very serious.
This will be very serious.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a couple other athletes out there that have,
Pre-existing medical
pre-existing
conditions.
medical conditions that doesn't get publicized. But
That's Harden right there.
man, Harden ain't ready.
He put no more shots. Yeah.
Man.
So let me finish with that. I still believe that I'm a ride or die Laker fan, and I would love to see them get a chip. But for the history books and for sports talk shows, whatever team that wins is still going to have an asterisk just because of the season was shortened. The season was interrupted. You cannot say we got a champion without talking about that. But then too, I still agree though, from the competitive side, if this is all we have to work with, 30 games, 20 games, and you can get it done, hey, I'm going to LA for the championship parade.
I'm gonna tell you what. You check out your boy. I've never really been an asterisk guy. Here's where I'm an asterisk for. Okay, we ain't got time to get into it. You can get them doggone Houston Astros and asterisks all you want. See, because that's what I'm. See, when one team has a real advantage,
Right.
like I can see where if the Spurs played 50 games and everybody else played 82, well then yeah. But if we all whatever it is, they be wanting to shorten seasons anyway. Like season too long. Whatever the race is, let's go. You know what I mean? Right. Like you talk about the NCAAs, it's one and done.
Yep.
Maybe, so my thing is, and I'm kind of like you, Most,
You bring your game.
all that we done been through with this thing, man, to be mentally back, to get, I'm going to really salute whoever come out of this. You said with no fans, no, you don't, like you said, it sounded like a pickup game and injury. They worried about the injuries and things. I mean, this is going to be a war getting out of this.
It's a lot.
So, I mean, and you always going to have haters. Whoever win, somebody going to hate like, oh, that, so whatever, that's going to be anyway. But it's gonna be interesting, man. And if hopefully they pull it off. But
Lake show.
yeah, you know the Lakers. I mean, it's like
Vegas is big.
I mean, Brian ain't trying to waste no years, man. Brian is like, hey, fam,
You got no time.
let's get this season going somehow, some way. Kyrie is trying to play his Joker to Batman. Like,
That's just Kyrie.
Kyrie
man.
said that, and then within like an hour, LeBron put out a statement. Was like, nah, fam.
LeBron was like, no, don't.
And don't forget this too. LeBron make $400,000 a game.
Game, yeah.
So that's so
Yeah,
game
that's a
checks
lot of
mean
us.
something.
We say what we said right now. We talked about that already. Like
So-
these checks is adding up.
Checks that no.
There's
Man.
PPE, and then 2, I'm getting COVID, and everybody's getting COVID checks. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and again, and then there's the mid-level guys that, man, I need this money, bro.
That's
Like
money. That's true.
I'm making, maybe I'm signed for a 2-year contract at $6 million. Well, really, that's after taxes, that's $3 million.
Right.
And I got a house payment. It's some. We think about the LeBrons, but most of the league is. So, yeah.
Well, Kyrie too.
It was.
Kyrie. I make the league minimum, brother.
Who was it? I think Trey Young, like, because when Kyrie put out the statement, he was like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll play today.
Like man said,
He played in like some high school game or something. He's like, I'll play right now.
you see these
Game
dudes.
checks is different. True.
The thing I love about social media, you see these dudes in the summer, they be balling hard. Like Carmelo now, because they ball players.
Yep.
These baseball players, like I heard a lot of baseball players be like, man, I really wish we could just do 162. He's like, it seems like a lot to y'all, but that's what we do. It's your life, So we gonna wrap it up, man. I thank my panel, man. This has been outstanding. I really enjoyed it. We didn't hit about everything. We can give y'all about 2.5 shows worth, but it's something to talk about because people do need an escape, and it's been a lot of heavy things, a lot of seriousness, and as much, even as much progress we made even in the civil type with the George Floyd and all that, it is a pressure on you, it is heavy. It's a lot. And it is nice to just kick back, man. Let me watch the game. And so you miss that. So
That's true.
But we want it safe, and again, because God, what these leagues don't want is have to shut down again.
Exactly.
And you don't want
That's true.
all the Denver Nuggets then tested positive. Correct. What you gonna do now? And it's a mess. So hopefully, safely they could come back, man, and we can do it the right way and things like that. But definitely, they're letting discretion be the better part of valor. So thank you guys. I appreciate you coming on. Check us out, of course. This is Mighty Sharp Network. We got shows on our favorite scenes. We got Shareholders podcast, which is this. Check us out on YouTube as well. All of that, man. You guys know what to do. Y'all be blessed. Stay sharp.
This has been a production of the Mighty Sharp Network. Executive producer is Monty Mont. Watch the corners and always stay sharp.